Thanks for tuning in, folks. We're going to take a break from RX-8 content just this once to talk about our 2009 Honda Fit. Behind the scenes, our 2009 Fit has been a huge enabler for the RX-8 success, moving tires back and forth to get mounted and balanced and moving parts and fluids to and from the recycling yard. But about a year and a half ago, our Fit with about 175k miles on it started to have drivability issues. It was hard to start after shutting down and refilling with gas. You had to use the throttle to be able to actually get the engine to kick over and start. And then it had poor idling when it did idle. It was stalling, occasionally had misfires. It drove like that for a while before it finally threw a check engine light, which was what we were hoping for. And that ended up being an EGR mismatch, where the computer detected that the EGR's actual position was not what was being commanded. That was pretty straightforward and easy. So we got a new EGR valve, threw it on the car, an easy 10-minute job, and voila, the problem was solved. For about 9 months. 9 months later, some similar issues started to crop up, but this time, no check engine light. We had misfires. We even had the engine going into a very strange limp mode where it wouldn't even rev past 3,000 RPMs. This time, the problems had us stumped because, similar poor drivability issues, but no check engine light. And at first we didn't suspect the EGR valve because it was relatively new. I did tons and tons of research, I did data logging, and as far as I could tell, nothing in the logs looked out of the ordinary, and none of the drivability issues matched any of the other common problems known with the car. But at one point in desperation, out of sheer frustration, I decided, well heck, it's an aftermarket EGR valve from Delphi, I might as well pull it off and just give it a look. Lo and behold, the EGR valve plunger was fully extended when I pulled it off of the car. Basically, somehow it had gotten stuck full open. Now, seeing that the plunger was stuck fully open and that I couldn't get it to easily retract, I did what any shade tree mechanic would do. I took that son of a bitch and smashed it on the ground. And my dad was there. He can attest to I actually did this. It was definitely a Hulk smash solution, but in this case, it actually let me be able to see what the problem was. Now, what happened was when I smashed it on the ground, of course, the plunger was forced upward. That popped the top of this EGR valve clean off. And lo and behold, that's when I found the issue. It turns out that the plunger has an adjustable threaded nut on top that apparently serves to control the position of the plunger and also give the feedback signal to the electronics inside to determine where the plunger rod is in its range of movement. That nut had started to back off essentially all the way, such that the plunger was being forced all the way open and couldn't retract. Now the solution seemed to be fairly straightforward. All I had to do was back that nut all the way off, take some red Loctite, put that on the threads and screw the nut all the way back in and tighten her down. Then I had the problem of how do I resecure the cap to the EGR valve? Because there's a crimp-on ring lip that is used from the factory to seal that top onto the body valve. So again, I did what any get-her-done home tree mechanic would do, and I got me some JB weld, and I basically JB welded the top right back on of this EGR valve. At least you can see that the plunger is fully retracted, and before I sealed the top back on, I could move the plunger and everything was able to move as it should. So I fully expect that $5 worth of JB weld and a couple of dabs of Loctite have been able to return this EGR valve to service. All right, folks, it's time to put a wrap on this video. I have the repaired EGR valve on the car now for about a month, multiple drive cycles, and have not seen that check engine light come back. So it seems like the repair has been successful. So what I would say is if your Honda Fit is suffering the symptoms that we described in this video, and you've done the standard tune-up and valve adjustment type stuff, it's worth taking a look at the EGR valve even if you're not throwing any check engine light codes.